Sai Ram. In the last Parayanam episode, I had mentioned how Swami is trying to make man awaken to his own realization. He does this in various ways by means of discourses, sometimes by miracles. Dr. Y.J. Rao, a noted geologist who was the head of the geology department at the Osmania University, had once come to Swami. He was witness to the transmutation of a rock into God. Swami picked up a rough piece of granite and asked Rao what it contained. And the geologist in him made him identify the minerals and so on. Swami said, no, I don't mean this, something deeper than this. And then, of course, he said molecules, atoms, electrons, and so on. Swami said, no, still deeper. And Dr. Rao professed his ignorance. He said, Swami, that's all I know. And then Swami asked him, can you eat this rock? He said, no, Swami, not without breaking my teeth. And then Swami took the rock from him, blew on it, and gave it back to him. The geologist was flabbergasted, for the rock had been transformed into a statue of Krishna playing the divine flute. Swami then told him, beyond your atoms and all that, God is in the rock. God is sweetness and joy. Break off Krishna's foot and taste it. Rao found no difficulty in breaking off the granite statue and tasting the foot. It was candy, sugar candy, with a sweetness all of its own. So Dr. Rao confessed to Mr. Howard Murphet, science gives but the first word. The last word is known only to the great spiritual scientists like Bhagawan. So this is what he says. So we are coming to the end of this interviews. There is an article which Swami wrote in the Blitz exclusively for the readers of Blitz. It came in the October 9th, 1976 edition. Swami says, millions of years of upward struggle have produced the present human society. Thousands of seers and sages in all lands have taught man to see the truth that underlines the panorama of creation, to adore the Creator, and to practice the virtues of humility, equanimity, and service, so that the spark of God that is enshrined in his heart might reveal its full glory. However, man has brought human society to the verge of total destruction. He has used his intelligence to pollute the land he lives on, the air he breathes, the water that is the very source of his life. He has turned the mind, which is an instrument for his liberation, into a chain that keeps him in bondage. He has used methods of education, codes of law, systems of politics, modes of commerce, and result of science to imprison himself in prejudices, creeds, and nationalities. The world is becoming smaller and smaller with every increase in the speed of communication, but neighborly love is not evident anywhere. Man truly lives when he feels one with all. So this is a part of this article which Swami wrote. There is also an article which Dr. Bhagawantham had written, and I don't remember where it was, where I read this article, but he says, speaking about Bhagawan, he says, what is Bhagawan's greatest miracle? This is a scientist speaking. So he says, every person that goes to Swami thinks that Swami loves him most and in a special manner. I have checked and counter-checked this feeling from many a devotee, and the answer is invariably indicative of something superhuman or divine on the part of Swami. To shower grace and love on a few chosen persons is not uncommon, but to let them flow equally everywhere, on everyone, and at all times is an attribute only of divinity. It is something beyond human capacity. Like all great teachers, Baba speaks in parables and appeals to the simple folk by telling apt stories. This is what Swami refers to as Chinna Katha. Once, while telling us about public speaking, Swami said, you would have noticed that when I see in my audience slight inattention, Swami said, because I am talking to them about deep philosophy, and the audience consists of people from various cultures, various ages, various professions, various economic strata, and various educational levels. Swami said, when I notice this, I suddenly stop and say, Oka Chinna Katha, one small story. And then you can see the interest is again revived. I notice that sparkle in their eyes. And on many occasions, the most obtruse ideas are put across to Swami's audience in such simple language that the more learned among his listeners feel quite embarrassed at their own inability to communicate even a fraction of their knowledge to those with whom they come in contact. Alas, what is the use of such learning, and who is to benefit by it? So this is the thing that we notice. The fact that man tries generally to analyze highly evolved souls using methods alien to such areas of human activity stands in the way of distinguishing one from the other. Thus, endless discussions can and have always taken place in regard to what an avatar is, and how do we set about recognizing one if an avatar appears amidst us. So, this is what Dr. Bhagawantham says, that one cannot just paint everything with the same brush. You need to be discerning. You need to go into the depths and understand about the avatar. It is good to restate here that Sathya Sai Baba never had any schooling worth naming, and yet gives a masterly exposition even when he is on an abstruse philosophical concept. He never practices meditation or sadhana to any extent worth mentioning, and yet performs miracles of the most inexplicable kind in quick succession when he wishes to do. He never has the need to work to keep himself well, but always works with such perfection and zeal, so continuously without exhaustion, so as to urge his devotees to realize that work is the highest form of worship. Above all, he has never learned the details of life's complexities, either in science, education, or politics, in the traditional manner, and yet instantly recognizes the point that may be troubling anyone in his presence, and gives a forthright advice. That all these features appear so natural to him cannot be dismissed as just being extraordinary. It's an inexplicable wonder and is used outside the realm of rational analysis. What I have said many times before on earlier occasions, I wish to say while concluding this article. That's what Dr. Bhagawantham says. I find it safer and more correct when I describe with humility that Baba does what Baba does and what we see him do, then what I analyze those facts to make an assessment of him in terms of language, values, and reasoning that we have evolved and learned while going through our normal experience in this world. He says it's impossible to understand Swami with the equipment that we have. To understand Swami, who is like the sky, for a fish which is limited to the surface, to being below the surface of water, is definitely not possible. And that is what the scientist tells. That is what he has experienced, and that is what he says. I remember Dr. Bhagawantham saying, one day he was standing on the portico of Swami's Mandir in Prashantinilayam in the first floor. This was during the 50th birthday celebrations. And he noticed that there were thousands of people who were staying in the open, because there was not much of lodging facility available in Prasanthi Nilayam those days. It was all open space, and people had made some kind of arrangement, just hung a bed sheet or something, and some kind of with some twig or some branch, and that was enough for them to stay there for almost 10 days. And Dr. Bhagawantham, who was observing this, noticed that many of them were people from even the higher sections of society, the economically well-to-do sections of society. And he asked himself, why do these people come here and put themselves to so much trouble? What is the attraction that makes them come here? And even as he was thinking like this, Swami came and put his hand on his shoulder and said, Bhagawantham, I wonder what attracts all these people here. What is it that makes all these people, many of them, come here and put themselves to so much trouble, living out in the open like this, just to come to Prasanthi Nilayam and enjoy the experience of being here? Dr. Bhagawantham realized that the omniscient and the omnipresent one was there beside him, and he says that I realized that it was his love which was the magnet attracting all these people from all over the world, and its power was inexplicable. It is a power that can bring people from all over the globe to his lotus feet and make people undergo any kind of problem, any kind of trouble in the usual sense, in terms of comfort that they experience at home. They are ready to forego all that just to be close to the avatar and enjoy the nectar of his love. With these few words, I would like to conclude my reading of this Blitz article which Mr. Karanjia wrote in that year 1976. He had come as Marxist, as he says, and he went back with folded hands. He was so impressed and he became a devotee of Swami. I remember seeing him on many of his visits to Prasanthi Nilayam in the later years. With this, we'll end today's Parayanam session. Sai Ram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba Ji ki Jai.